And it's the same with supplements as well, because people, and it's one of the downfalls of the supplement industry is that people, because they are taking a pill, they expect speed. They expect it to happen as fast as a pharmaceutical preparation would happen. And that's not always the case, but there's some fantastic supplements out there, and there's no real better way of picking up any shortfall in your diet than taking a good supplement.
Brilliant, which leads us into, can you just tell us a bit more about fulvic acid, which is, I know, that one that you think very highly of, and very active in. Tell us a bit more about why it's something that you work with, and what sort of benefits people will gain from taking it.
Well, I was introduced to fulvic acid about 3 years ago, and it is still very, very new on the market in the UK. A lot of people haven't heard of it, but the encouraging thing is that more and more people are searching for it nowadays, and there are more and more raw material suppliers of fulvic acid popping up. So there was obviously some kind of global interest that's been generated over the last few years, but it was literally put in my lap about 3 years ago. There was a good friend of mine, dropped a box of these tablets on my lap and told me to go away and research them. Are they any good? Can we market them in the UK? Because I'd been working in the supplement industry for 5 years prior to that.
Right.
So I knew the kind and the type of supplement that was already out there.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did a little bit of research into fulvic acid, it was just blew me away in terms of what this thing can do.
And now, some specific areas that really impressed you, what would they be?
The simple scale of different things that fulvic acid can do.
Right.
Because when I was working in the supplement industry for a manufacturer, one of my jobs was to design new products.
Yes.
So I would source raw materials, and usually those raw materials would have a specific use,
yes,
or they would be used for a specific condition. But when I looked into what fulvic acid could do, there were conditions, list as long as your arm.
Some examples?
Well, we talked on energy before.
Yeah.
It's got a patent for skin health.
Right.
It removes toxins from the system.
Right. It
can stimulate digestive enzymes.
Right.
To help those work better. It'll also stimulate the enzymes in your metabolism. Right. As well. And if a cell needs something, I know we talked about balance as well earlier, if a cell needs something, it will provide it. If it needs a mineral, it will provide that mineral.
Yes.
But if a cell has too much of a mineral, it will grab hold of it and take it away.
Right.
So it's one of nature's perfect balancing agents.
Interesting.
And it will also alkalise the system.
Right.
As well,
Right.
which I know we've talked on, which is vital.
Yeah.
So when I looked into what this one single nutrient could do, then I thought, well, people need to be aware of this, because I talk to a lot of my clients who come to, because I always tell my clients to bring all their supplements that they're taking with them.
Right.
And literally, there's about 10 in front of me of all these different supplements that they're taking for all these different kinds of reasons. And when I introduce them to fulvic acid and say, well, you can get rid of all these and just buy this one, they're over the moon.
Yes.
Because it must take them
They're not
10 or
rattling
15.
around.
Yeah, they're not rattling. It must take them 10 or 15 minutes in the morning to get through this regime
these pills, yeah,
of taking all these supplements. So I was just blown away by it.
And what's in it?
Well, the fulvic acid itself contains about 75 trace minerals.
And fulvic acid is what?
The best way to describe fulvic acid is that it's nearly coal.
Oh, okay.
That's the best way to describe it.
Right.
It's like a compost that's about 1 million years old.
So it's a mineral?
It's a carrier of minerals.
Fine, great. This is the nutritionist speaking, this is great.
Yeah, it's not a mineral,
right,
because it contains 75 different minerals.
Okay.
It's a carrier of minerals, and also a carrier of some amino acids and some enzymes as well. But it has a huge capacity, and this is what makes it so difficult. it's one of the most powerful antioxidants known.
Brilliant.
And the antioxidant market alone is huge,
Cool.
but it has a huge capacity to bind to a lot of different antioxidants in just one molecule.
Interesting.
And that's what sets it apart, and there's nothing else like it on the market.
I think what immediately appeals to me and what you're saying is the natural nature of substance. It's not manufactured in a laboratory, and I think that so many things where they're artificial, they're creating problems elsewhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think, you know, our philosophy all along is holistic well-being and health, and that really involves taking supplements or filling your body with fuels that are naturally occurring substances.
I mean, fulvic acid should be in our soils, it should be in our foods.
Right.
But because of the farming techniques that we've adopted over the last 50 years, the fulvic acids have just been completely destroyed.
Right.
And again, that comes back to because people want things fast, they want bigger crops, then they want them quick.
I see, which is fascinating.
And that's what's happened, is
Right.
that the fulvic acid has been destroyed by the application of these chemical fertilisers. And when you get rid of fulvic acid from the soil, it turns to clay
Right.
and hardens.
Right.
Then the farmer's got another problem because it's more difficult to plough.
Yep.
And what you've got end up then is with a crop that doesn't contain anything. You know, there's no nutrients in there. It might look good and it might look pleasing to the consumer, and it's pleasing to the supermarket because it's been grown in a certain way that reduces the chance of disease, so then they reduce their risk of having to get rid of it in their waste.
Yeah.
But to the person who eats it, it's completely deficient in any kind of nutrient
So interesting.
whatsoever.
And a lot of what we're talking about reflects all of that. So I can see immediately how this product would just be laser attracted to you in a sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you would be to it, because
Yeah.
it fits entirely with the whole philosophy that we've just discussed.
It is the fulvic acid is the missing link in
Interesting.
human nutrition at the moment.
That's really, really interesting. Well, you're sitting on something very powerful there, Peter. And,
Well, I hope my job, my goal is to educate. That's what I
I
enjoy
think
doing.
that you do that very well. I think a lot of people need to hear this message, because there's so much misinformation and clutter out there. It's very hard to find your way through stuff that's really powerful, and some of the stuff we've been talking about here, I hope you realise is really powerful. Fulvic acid is one of those things. So if you'd like to get hold of some fulvic acid, contact Peter or myself, and we'll be happy to supply you with.
You've been using it for a while now, haven't
I've been
you?
using it for about 2 months, and my metabolism is really pretty healthy anyway, because of what I've done over the last 4 years. But I have noticed I felt more energetic, I felt more vibrant, I felt more refreshed after my sleep, I felt better after exercise than even I did before. And I can only put that down to fulvic acid, because nothing else has really changed. So, and that's somebody who's already paying a lot of attention to health, nutrition and well-being. So if you're somebody who is really needing to pay attention to those things from a fairly low starting point, and I think this is a very, very good place to start. So I thoroughly recommend it.